Years ago, I went back to a place that changed my life. The house where I actually lived with Mike Mentzer. I never told you the whole story. For those of you that don't know this, but I lived with Mentzer here in Playa del Rey, I think about 3 or 4 months maybe. What's up, guys? I think it's gonna be a long night. So let's get started. You've probably seen the video, the beginning of my video. How did it all happen? What made me move in to Mike Mentzer's condominium located in Playa del Rey, California? And when did it happen? And what did the condominium actually look like? 96, 97. So this was before the hit video was filmed, obviously. Quite some time before that, as a matter of fact. I was working out with Mike at Goals in Venice. Those were some of the hardest workouts I ever had in my life. I used to meet him in the morning and he would take me through 2 or 3 workouts a week. Usually it was about 2 or 3 workouts a week. But then I ran out of money because I did pay him money for obviously training me. I ran out of money and I was in a relationship, and I want to be too elaborate about what happened in the relationship, but I was in a relationship. We split up, and I ended up being homeless. So that was that. I had not much, I didn't have much to my name. I was just the average bodybuilder living in Venice. And then I was the average bodybuilder homeless in Venice on the beach. I guess, I ended up telling Mike about it because he was like, hey, well, why don't you come to the gym, we'll train again. I'm like, Mike, I can't even afford to eat right now, and I sleep on the beach. I've been sleeping on the beach for the last week or two. And he's looking at me like, why would you say that to me? Why wouldn't you tell me? I'm like, because I don't want to bother you with my problems. And of course, when you're up there struggling like this, and I wasn't very, I didn't want to tell my mentor, the guy that I looked up to, that I'm in that shit position. I was embarrassed. Yeah, I was embarrassed. Here's a guy that, me, doing well in the training and all that, and next thing you know, I'm living on the beach. Not that it's really a terrible place to be at. California beaches are great and beautiful. But at the time, it kind of really messed up my game. I wanted to grow. I wanted to train Mentzer. All this was going really well. I was trying to prepare for another competition, the natural muscle mania. So Mike said to me, well, why don't you think about it? You can stay on my couch. I'm like, couch? Yeah, that sounds a lot better. I don't want to be in the way because I know he had a lot of stuff going on. Everything was like really blowing up. The whole Muscle Media 2000, Ironman, everything that he was doing, the writings and his mail order business, everything was just really going for it. I was so happy that everything worked out for him. I didn't want to drag him with me, whatever, but he just said, well, now, you are not going to be here living for free. Mike Mentzer, Mr. Spaghetti. And I wouldn't expect it. I was glad he said that too. So he literally put me to work. He put me to work, yes. And, put me to work in his office. He had I remember, it was a 3-level condominium. When we get to that later, I'll show you guys what it looked like. I actually drove there a while ago, so I'm just building up the story for you all. Okay, so 3-level condominium in Playa del Rey. And coming in, there was the office. He had all his books there. Oh man, so many books. This man read a lot of books, I'll tell you that. Philosophy, Ayn Rand, Nietzsche, Plato, science, everything. I mean, he had incredible amount of knowledge. Of course, you all know he was very intelligent, and the guy was just really an avid reader, okay? I was in the office, and my duty was to gather all the orders for the books that he sold, heavy duty, shirts that he sold. I still have one. That was my job. So I had to do that. I had to get all the orders, wait, take it over to Joanne, get it processed from her, get the approval, and then bring it over to the post office. Right. And everything was within a few blocks away from Mike's residence, which was, by the way, I'm telling you guys, it was absolutely, I mean, it was a very beautiful, super modern house building at the time being. Now, not so much, you'll see later on, but right on the beach. Really, we're talking like distance. You can just walk right on the sand. In a very nice area. Playa del Rey is beautiful, but that was just, I mean, enormous. And he didn't have much furniture. What he had was just very basic things. He had a bunch of art pieces on the wall. I'm still remembering here. I'm just, you know, tapping into my memory right now. So trust me if I'm fading. I'm not fading out. I'm just trying to remember everything the way it was. And I might be wrong with some of the things, but for the most part, I do remember it. Art pieces on the wall, books everywhere. He would be upstairs in his big TV room, and he would do some stuff up there and read and all that. And I would be in the office working, mail order, go to the post office, come back and forth. Like daily, we're talking like 2 or 3 times I would go sometimes. Besides that, it was all before phones. We didn't have any of that. So, you know, I would go to the gym. And I don't remember exactly if he trained. I don't think he trained me while I was living with him. I was very grateful for him to allow me to do that, for allowing me to live there. How many people can say that, right? I remember Mike, he would come in when I see me work for a while. He says, "Markus, let's take a little break." I knew what was coming at this point. I knew what was coming. And let's take a little break. You know, you're gonna go to the store. You know, same thing. Same thing. Give me a turkey sandwich, some Swiss cheese. Get that specific Swiss cheese. He very particular what he wanted. And it was a delicatessen place in Playa del Rey, which was just like expensive meats and cheeses and stuff, like, you know. Anyway, so I get the cheese, I get the turkey sandwiches. He loved sandwiches every fucking day. He ate sandwiches. But along with that, it was always the orange juice. And the last thing he would request me to bring would be the bottle of vodka, which was the cheapest vodka he could possibly, the cheapest stuff you can possibly buy. And I forgot what the brand was. It started with a K. It was some Russian Ko. I don't know. I don't know. It was a cheap ass vodka, and it was always mentioned right after all the other stuff that needed to be done. So in other words, you know, now looking back, and it was, of course, he was hiding it in the sense that he felt a little bit embarrassed about me asking for the vodka every day. And it wasn't a big bottle. It was you know, it was one of these. But that would be a daily ritual. And he was happy. At the point, I'm 26 years old, guys. I don't know whether I'm supporting someone's drinking habit, whether I'm, for me, alcohol drinking, that was something that wasn't even on my radar. For me, I didn't know how to handle any of this. I didn't know whether Mike Mentzer was drinking much or any of that stuff. Now that I look back at it, I can say I should have stopped him. I should have tried to stop him. I should have interfered, or at least not help in all the drinking. I don't know how much more he drank, but that was what I brought him on a daily basis, pretty much. Now looking back, I was probably enabling it. But knowing Mike Mentzer, and let me get this straight, knowing Mike Mentzer the way I knew Mike Mentzer, he was very stubborn. He would not have anybody, interfere with what he wants to do, what he's going to do. He was extremely stubborn. In Germany, we say stur, bockig. I did sometimes, of course, felt like a little suspicious of it, of course, because at night, Mike would have these little nightmares, I guess. Nightmares that ended up in being extremely, like, you could hear him having nightmares. And I was downstairs sleeping, and I was sleeping on the couch downstairs. Had these really high ceilings. There was a staircase going up to a loft section. So the loft was the last top level of that condominium. And I was I was crashing out on the couch on the bottom, and that was amazing because, you know, hey, I should have been on the fucking beach, on the street. That's where I should have been. That's why, you know, if I wouldn't be for him, that's where I would have been. Who knows what would have happened? It's dangerous. Los Angeles is it's a very tough town. It's a very dangerous place. You don't want to just sleep on the beach there and think it's whatever. I was just very fortunate having him in my life and being able to stay on his couch. Yeah, he did train a lot of people during that time. He did a lot of writings. He was always up, smoking, writing, then going to the gym. And one particular time I remember, Mike once picked me up at the gym in his shitty ass car. He had a real terrible looking car, like just station wagon, you know, Chevy Chase movie with the wooden panels. He picked me up and I was embarrassed, right? And when we got to the house, I see this white Jag down there, and he says, and I say, well, whose Jag is that, you know? It's a white, brand new Jaguar. I have a picture of it right here. And he just said, well, I'm thinking of some rich people, but he's like, no, it's, now, whenever I find someone that's going to be worthy of my time on a date, a beautiful lady that agrees, has a strong mind, not just agrees, but has a strong mind, independent thinker, a logical thinker, and that's beautiful too, then she will be driving in my car with me to my, you know, to the setup, to the date. And I'm like, wow, dude, he just bought a car for that. He bought a Jag, and he drives around this shit-ass bucket to the gym because he doesn't care what people think about him. He doesn't care whether all the pro bodybuilders drive on their Harleys and their Corvettes and their BMWs and their Porsches. They all pull up there at Gold's Gym in the 90s. That was the thing, you know? You pull up in the front like you're in some sort of Fast and Furious movie. He didn't care. He just drove up in his little shitty-ass fucking car. Beautiful, when you think about it. And he took me out in that Jag. Oh my God, I feel so special right now. He took me out 2 blocks still. We drove 2 blocks to an Italian restaurant. So he would get in the car with me, says, Markus, we're gonna have a big night. We're gonna discuss some stuff and we're gonna take you to dinner. So we're driving over there. The drive took about 1.5 minutes at the most. But he would pull up there, he parked the car. He could have walked over there, but anyway, so this, I mean, I can say I was with him. He took me out on a special date. I feel special now, you know what I mean? I thought it was kind of neat to have me go, taking me on a date, right? So there was a time when I just couldn't, well, no, let me take this back. It's not about I couldn't stay there or so. It was just that I decided I didn't want to stay there anymore. And the reason why is because he made me aware fully with his philosophical influence that he had on me, not just training, that I am solely responsible for my own destiny, my own well-being, where I end up. It's all me. It's never anyone else to blame. It's just me. So if you put your fucking head on straight and you follow objective reality, principles, rational thought, truth, integrity, and reason, you will succeed. It might just happen overnight, may not just happen overnight, but you have to understand and believe that you are your own creator, your own destiny. You create your own destiny. So it's the same thing with bodybuilding. You put the work in and you're going to have a success. If you don't put the work in and you just have wishful thinking, if you train hard but you eat like shit, well, what's going to happen is you're not going to place high in a competition. Because all the genetics in the world will not save you. Same thing with thinking, life, choices. You gotta think before you act. Your emotions are not something that should guide you into doing things, but they should be carefully analyzed before you do anything. That's just basically all on whims and emotions. And before Mentzer, and before living with him, I was living on those whims and emotions and whatever comes next. Okay, well, that sounds good. Well, oh, this girl, maybe I can stay with her. Yeah, but then if I stay with her, maybe I can... Fuck out of here, man. No, you get your shit together and you start moving. Hey, if someone has to join the party, so be it. But unless you have your shit together, you just don't have your shit together. All right, so with that being said, I became an independent individual for the first time in my life. I was always independent in a sense, but my mind was cluttered by this emotional whim that I needed to have someone in my life in order to feel better. And that was completely meant to help me get over that. And with that independent thought, I had a new inspiration. I had a roadmap to now explore another level of me, a growth level of me, not just physically but mentally, that I had no choice but to be on my own, which is the natural sequence is that he wanted me to think for myself, to be able to live on my own and make my own decisions based on rationality and objectivity. And therefore, here I was. The next thing you know, I move out and I live in an apartment by myself. I pay my own rent and I start developing programs for clients. I lived in an apartment. Then I started growing as an individual and I started growing as a person and even more as a bodybuilder. I think that's kind of like what a big lesson I came out. There's this whole intellectual growth that I experienced with Mentzer being around me like that close, you know. We didn't talk that much training when we lived together, when I lived with him. We talked more philosophy, mind. And you know, here's the thing. Your mind is your biggest muscle. Remember that. That's one of the things that he taught me. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Here's the footage of me actually arriving at the house and showing you guys the surroundings. And actually it was two places. I just only lived in one place with him. The one I show you first. And then there's another place where he moved later on as he moved out of the condo. I have some more memories about that one. I didn't live there, but I do. Not tonight, not in this video, maybe next time. For now, I hope you enjoyed this video. And now watch the Mike Mentzer house. Here we go. So here we go. I'll show you guys the Mentzer estate. How's that? We're going towards Playa del Rey. When I was living with Mike Mentzer, this is where I was living. There's the post office, guys. Post office. Vista Del Mar and what is the street on again? I forgot. Oh my God, it's been such a long time. Let's go find this house. He loved that place right here, that Italian place. We were going there all the time and he would buy drinks for me. I didn't want to drink anything. Guys, this is it right here. This is where Mike used to live. Second floor. Actually, he had all these floors, all of them. You can see it? I'm gonna show it differently. That's where Mike used to live right here, guys. Top floor, top balcony. Now that I remember it now, right on that side. With the two smokestacks. That's it. It looked a lot better back then, kind of like run down now, but it's right on the beach, so I guess it takes a lot of punishment. Beautiful views though, beautiful views. I remember from his bedroom you could see everything, man. Yeah. For the most part, I was looking at the sky, I was looking at the beach, and I was hearing him snore at the same time. One more thing before I forget. Mentzer lived in 2 places here, so that was the first one. The condominium when I was living with him was down the street. So now this place right here is when I used to pick him up to go to the gym together. And that was more of a, it looked like an apartment complex at the time. I remember it was 2-bedroom, and Ray was there a couple of times too as well. But this was the other spot that I picked him up, and he moved from there to this spot. So I'm gonna show you show you guys what this looks like, okay? So that's it right here. I used to pick him up right here. There used to be a gate in front of it. Now it's a different, I think it's a different property now, Laguna del Rey. So he lived in one of those. Very nice. Yeah, I picked him right up here. He was smoking. I picked him up in my Mustang. I used to have a Mustang up right in here. He'd come out like super late, and we would go to the gym together because he didn't have a ride. He didn't have a ride to the gym. That was after he had his injury. And higher floor to himself, all of them. All 3 floors, as a matter of fact. Okay, that was all his. Right? That was absolutely beautiful. We would actually go inside, enter to the legendary garage where he had his Jaguar, which is going to be right here. Oh, I'll show you guys. Come on now. I know you want to see it again. It's right here, see? Well, no Jag left, of course, but yeah, right there.
Mike, I still miss you, buddy. And I think one of the best ways I can honor what you taught me is to keep passing it on. That's really what Heavy Duty Nation is about. It's where I teach high-intensity training in depth, share the workouts, courses, history, and lessons I learned firsthand. And every week, I hold private live Q&As exclusively for members. You can actually talk to me, ask me your questions, discuss your training, and get personal help from me. Those live sessions aren't on YouTube. They're only inside the Heavy Duty Nation. So if you want to go beyond the videos and become part of the community, come join us. theheavydutynation.com. And Mike, thanks for everything, my friend.